Hi, my name's Amy. I'm a librarian at Beaverton City Library, and today I'm going to show you a fun project where you can create a little notebook using some supplies you probably have at home. And these are really fun. You can use it to keep notes in it, write your poems. Right now is a great time to go outside and draw what you see outside, so create a little nature journal, or you can create gifts for other people. These are really fun and you can definitely personalize them. So to get started today on this project, this is a really simple bookbinding technique. I'll also make a video where we do a little bit more of an advanced one where we actually use some string to bind the spine. But the one we're making today is really simple. It's a fun way to jump into starting to make your own books. So this one is actually just going to use a stapler to staple the spine. So you'll need a stapler, any size will do. I have this tiny one, but that'll work just fine. Then you will need something to use for your cover. So I have some different examples here. I'm going to use a recycled card where I just cut the cover off of the card to reuse. And then the back of my book is going to be a pretty piece of paper that I have that's a little bit thicker, so kind of a cardstock. So you can use any sort of paper that you might have. I mentioned you can recycle cards that you've received, which is really fun, or use a new one. You can also cut up cardboard, or this is just a shopping bag, so that's fun. You might have some fun shopping bags at home that you can cut up and use. Anything that's a little bit thicker to use for your cover. And then you will need a pair of scissors, some tape. So I'm using some colored masking tape here, but you can also use any sort of washi tape that you might have, or any kind of other fun tape at home. And then you'll need a piece or two of plain paper. This is just printer paper. And then I have a tool that I'm using, which is just a Duplo block to help me fold the edges, but you can use anything or even your nail for that. So this is a fun project that is great for kids. It doesn't require anything too sharp except for a pair of scissors. That kids can definitely get some help from adults, or this is a fun project for adults who are interested in learning to do some bookbinding also. So to get us started, we're going to take our plain sheet of paper and fold it in half. And you can definitely cut using scissors at this point, but I like to have sort of the art book looking edges where we tear the paper by hand so it leaves them a little bit frayed. So that's what I'm doing here. So like I said, you can use your nail to fold this, or use the Duplo block to press down on your edges and fold it over, or any kind of tool to press down on your edges here. And then you'll open your sheet back up and then put your finger down here, holding on one side before you go to tear, that way you don't tear the whole sheet. Okay, and then we have two sheets here. I'll put them together and we'll fold it again. Again, pressing down on our edges there to make a nice crease before we tear the paper. Flip it over and do the same on the other side. And then we'll tear those. So now we end up with 4 sheets. And because my book that I'm going to create is pretty small, I'm going to tear the sheets again in half, and I'll do half of them at a time. And it'll be sort of a little notebook here, but you can of course size your notebook up to whatever size you would like in your version. Okay, now I've ended up with 8 sheets of paper. You can make your notebook longer if you'd like, but I'm just going to do this as a demo with 8 sheets. And now I have my cover here, which I'm going to measure. It's a little bit large, so I'm going to cut it down a little bit here. Okay, so now that's a better size for our sheets of paper, and I'm leaving the cover a little bit longer than the sheets of paper, so that way it overhangs a little bit, just like a normal notebook would. And then I'm going to cut the back cover to be the same size as my front cover. And you can use a ruler and pencil if you want to do this. For our example here, since I'm on video and just want to make this a quick example for you all, I'm just cutting it by hand, by eye there. So now I have my two covers that are the same size and then my sheets of paper. And so the first thing I'm going to do with these is I'm actually just going to staple them. You can, if you have a larger notebook, I would recommend putting 2 staples or even 3 if you're making a much larger one. For this one, it's so small that I can just put 1 staple in the center there of all my pages, and that's going to hold it together just fine. And then I'll place my covers on top of my pages here and make sure that the notebook pages are centered in roughly in the middle there. And again, if you prefer to use a ruler and a pencil to measure that out to make sure it's really exact, you can do that on yours. And then I'm going to staple my front cover and back cover together, and then my pages are in between. So that's pretty sturdy there now for this little notebook. But to make it much sturdier, we're now going to use tape. And then the nice thing is that tape is actually going to cover our staples. So now I'll grab some tape here. And I'm cutting a piece of tape that's longer than my cover just to get started. I'm going to put a couple of pieces so it's going to sort of cover up the seams. So you see that piece of tape didn't make it all the way around there, it ended there, so that's fine. I'm going to grab another piece of tape, roughly the same length, and layer it on top in the back, and then have it come around there. Press those all together. And now you can actually make a nice crease in your front cover, so that way the notebook opens up really nicely. And now you've created your own little notebook there, and the tape covers the staples so you don't see them there. And you can even cover it with, like I mentioned, some really pretty tape. But now you have a little notebook you can keep notes in.